The information provided on this podcast is intended to be educational and informational only and is not considered to be formal legal advice. The listener should not take or refrain from taking action based on its content. Any listener in need of legal opinion upon which to rely in decision-making should consider formally engaging an attorney to review relevant facts in detail and examine the pertinent law as it applies to those facts.
Welcome to Real Estate Milestones, where we explore fascinating topics in commercial real estate with knowledgeable industry experts. I'm your host, Ben Malik, and I'm a young real estate professional who is passionate about adding value to people's lives through the incredible power of real estate. My goal is to help you discover what the heck is going on in the industry and how you can get involved. This is Real Estate Milestones, where your future in real estate lies just around the corner.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Real Estate Milestones. This is Ben, and today we have Kwesi and Jim. So, guys, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you guys do?
Sure. I'm Kwesi Robotham, founder, managing director of Kingstowne Advisors. And this is my partner, Jim.
Jim Roessner, the operations director, helping organize all the partnerships and activity.
Awesome. So, yeah, could you guys get into a little bit about your backgrounds and how you ended up where you are now?
Sure. So I actually, I'm arrived in this seat in a very non-traditional way, Ben. So I actually have a background in engineering. I got a degree in mechanical engineering. I went to school in Montreal, up in Canada. I went to work for about 2 months as an actual design mechanical engineer, realized that I couldn't stand it. And so 4 months later, I got a job in sales. It wasn't really necessarily what I wanted to do, but I ended up getting a job back here stateside at doing management consulting for a large government contracting firm. We did a lot of aerospace and defense work and some pretty neat, interesting stuff, like working on the space station. Or designing, looking at how the space station was engineered and designed. But then along the way, just life events happened, and I started asking questions about how to save money for the future. My wife and I started having kids, and the advisors that we had at the time couldn't answer my question. So I decided, hey, I was going to figure out how this stuff works on my own. And then, lo and behold, I decided to start my own firm. And now we do, now we're a virtual family office. We're sort of like a mix between business and financial advisors on steroids. But, that it's, you never know sometimes the path that's been laid out for you, if you just take one step at a time, where you end up. So pretty excited about what we do right now. How about you, Jim?
Yeah, no, I echo that as well. If you asked me just 5 years ago where I'd be, I would not imagine right here next to this guy. My kind of story is I started out in the internship, kind of working in the voluntary benefit space, really understanding that side of things, right? What are problems with business owners? I loved working with small business owners. We're all entrepreneurs at heart, right? So I think that's something that gravitated towards me in working in that space and learning kind of their problems and how we can help solve them. And then from there, again, I love the company, but I always kept an open mind and networked and realized I could kind of grow my business just from, not helping them on the voluntary benefit side with these business owners, but do full retirement planning, golden handcuffs, right? And that's where I got plugged into one of the big mutual companies. And it was great there. I loved it. They had great education. I was plugged in and helping being the coordinator for 3 different financial planning teams. So I was able to get my hands really understanding around the industry and how to help people, which is something I loved, being a fiduciary. But ultimately, I found there were some things that were prevented me from working with all of the solutions that are available to people. So, as a fiduciary, it was important for me to be able to have that. So that's where I wanted to go independent, circled back through networking with Kwesi and saw what he designed with his virtual family office, with the business advisory, the business acquisitions. And those are things I've always been interested and eager to get into. And, he's been a great mentor in that space, learning that side of things, while I'm able to bring all of my experience with the planning teams and the planning knowledge to help boost that stuff for what we're doing here. So,
yeah. So funny story. We won't go into detail, but we won't mention any specific names. But for a brief moment in time, Jim recruited me to work at to work at another firm, and it was good. And I remember he's a great guy. We had some fun, and I had a good head on his shoulders. So when I decided to branch out and start Kingstowne Advisors, I turned the tables on him and recruited him.
Yeah,
so.
Return the favor. It worked.
Wow, I love that. That's a really great story. Thanks for sharing. So before we get into all these amazing things you guys do as a virtual family office, and even what the idea of a virtual family office is, could you just tell us about your first milestone in real estate?
Yeah, what I would consider the first real milestone. I mean, my wife and I, we've moved a couple times, so we bought homes along the way, but we turned those homes into rental properties the next time we had to move. My wife is Air Force active duty, so we moved a couple times. And, I think that was really the first real milestone, is setting up a property, having it be an investment as opposed to something that you're living in. And so that's something that I've always enjoyed. And I guess I would consider that my first real estate milestone.
Yeah, it's definitely
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. So mine's a little different. I think mine would be kind of when I was just diving into that financial planning world space. Something I realized kind of just through office chatter, that people avoided realtors like the plague. With the firm that I was at, for whatever reason, the traditional advisors, they just wanted to work with high income earners, W-2, and they thought the idea of real estate agents of volatile was something they didn't want to get involved with, right? And that's kind of where I saw the opportunity, and me and one of my partners started doing educational sessions, right? And kind of bringing that financial literacy to the realtors, because, as we all know, I mean, kind of naturally biased, where they think, oh, well, I can retire by buying this one property and buying this other one. And there's merit to that, but there's other things you can do to better position yourself so you can buy, maybe not just one investment property, maybe two, right? So just kind of implementing those one or two things. So honestly, that was my first jump into kind of the real estate world and the experience there, and really getting to understand these people that are working hard, building their business, helping their clients and community.
Yeah, and then most people don't tell realtors that they got real estate professional status. That comes with a lot of cool advantages too. So
right.
Yeah. If you guys don't know what that is, make sure to call up our friends at Kingstowne. So so let's ask the question: what's a virtual family office?
Good question. So, I explain that by, a couple different ways. Number one, traditionally, a family office is an entity set up by an ultra high net worth individual or family. I'm talking $100 million of liquid investable assets and above. Instead of having a separate CPA that they get advice from, and an attorney or financial advisor or an estate planner, they'll set up an entity. The sole purpose of that entity is to grow and preserve the wealth of that one family or that one individual. And what they'll do is they'll hire the CPA that they know, like, and trust. They'll hire the attorney, the estate planner, the financial advisor, and those folks become full-time W-2s of that individual's family office. Now, I know a lot of people that in their mind, the concept of a family office these days, most people think family offices are these weird, like, bohemian hybrids of venture capital and private equity firms, right? Well, that's sort of an effect of what their mission and their purpose is, right? Because they've amassed so much wealth and they've sort of outgrown the traditional, financial planning design or approach. They're looking for other places to place their capital to get returns on that money. So yes, they're quite often looking for investment opportunities, or they could be sources of capital for folks that have an idea or a startup or a real estate project. But that's really an outgrowth of their mission, which is to grow and preserve the wealth of that family. So where we're a little bit different is being a virtual family office is that we've taken the same process and the same experience, Ben, that the ultra high net worth family has with their family office, and we've made it available to either affluent or emerging affluent business owners who, truth be told, are probably 10, 15 years early from where they would have the $100 million, but by getting access to the process earlier, we're able to accelerate their growth to that end state. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's a really good way of putting it, and sounds like very powerful solution. I mean, a lot of people probably think family office is closed off, just the super high net worth individuals that can afford to have a whole staff working for them. But I mean, it's really cool that you guys make a solution that works for people that are not all the way up there, but still have similar goals, which everyone wants to preserve and grow their wealth, and everyone wants to take advantage of all these the amazing investments that exist out there, and not everyone knows how. And sounds like it's really, I really love that you guys are helping people understand that like there's options for them. So I guess building off that, like who needs a virtual family office? Who do you serve, and who can benefit from your services the most?
Yeah. So let me answer that with another analogy, right? So if you go see, as an example, let's say you've got some issue going on, and you go see your primary care physician, right? And he says, okay, well, we're going to prescribe this for you, but along the way, I need you to go see a cardiologist and a gastroenterologist. So you go see those two specialists as well, and they maybe prescribe a couple other things. So now you've got 3 drugs that you got to take, and you're hoping and praying that at best there's no contraindications. At worst, they don't make your state of health, make things even, not optimal, right? So the primary care physician, though, is supposed to be the quarterback of your care, making sure that all the specialists, everything that they're recommending, all the strategies that they're recommending for you are in line with what you're trying to accomplish. So that being said, we are the best fit for a business owner that's making money, or an executive. Let's say you're just on a W-2 or a 1099, but you don't necessarily have a business that's making money and has got a lot of moving parts, but they don't have a comprehensive solution and someone to walk them through the process of getting the most efficient advice. Normally, I mean, if we're going to throw a number out there, we're typically looking at working with people that are like 200,000 in annual income and above, or have a business that's generating $1 million a year. But at the end of the day, we end up connecting and working best with people that are tired of the traditional business advisory financial planning route, and they're looking for more comprehensive solutions.
Yeah, and it's like the whole idea that we have this primary care physician quarterbacking our health, but we don't have that same level of service for our wealth, and that's essentially what we're bringing to the marketplace.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And I know, like, you mentioned the term fiduciary before, and sometimes it feels like it's not used as it's used a little too lightly for my taste. We're like, what does it really mean to be on the same team, or really to have your interests aligned with the people who you're getting advice from? Most of this advice, you think they're the professional, but really it's the advice is like serving them more than it's serving you in a way that's kind of hard to imagine. And yeah, I mean, do you have a perspective?
Yeah, I've definitely, witnessed that through the different companies, right? And it's really fascinating because a lot of the people that, they're doing right, and they are truly doing right and helping with their clients, but perhaps they don't have that bit of intellectual curiosity, right? Well, hey, everything I'm doing and helping works, but maybe this thing over here is better. But, maybe wherever the company they're in or whatever rules that, they might not be allowed to go and work in those things. So it is tough. And, that's where, hopefully you ask whoever you're working with a lot of questions, look to truly understand, who it is you're working with, because that's the first and foremost part. But it is a big responsibility, right? A fiduciary is someone that is legally responsible to make the most recommendations that fits the interest of whoever you're working with, of whatever that is. So again, from my perspective with what you brought up earlier, you have to kind of be in an independent environment versus, if you're just someone on Wall Street and you're a fiduciary, but all you work on Wall Street things, well, how can you incorporate real estate with that? How can you incorporate acquisitions and stuff? You simply can't, So I think it's really important to understand kind of the role and the company of whoever you're working with.
Yeah. And so to kind of build on that, 2 things. One is, the root of the word fiduciary is a Latin word that stands for trust, right? So are you, as an advisor, engendering trust in the people that you're looking to serve? So I'll give you an example of how that works in terms of getting the most comprehensive advice. So this isn't a slam against CPAs whatsoever. We've got CPA partners that we work with, tax attorneys, but a lot of times when a business owner is looking for a tax deduction, they'll ask a CPA or an accountant, and the accountant will say, well, go open up a 401k or contribute to your 401k. That's great. You'll get the tax deduction, but what if you could instead use the same money to create an asset for the business? Now, what would you rather want? A tax deduction, maybe you save 20,000 or 30,000, or you're able to use that same contribution and create $1 million cash flow or $1 million asset for the business. Or so it just, at the end of the day, it's having a comprehensive strategy, looking through all the lenses to make sure that we're providing the best result and the most optimal outcome for our clients.
Yeah, I really love that about you guys, because it's like you have the flexibility to actually offer the solution that fits right with this person's situation, where it's like, sometimes I feel like, I guess it was experience for both of you, that you're in this role where you do get to be a fiduciary and get to help people with their financial planning. Then you just, part of you knows that there's a solution that would work better for them that you can offer. And now you guys accomplished this awesome feat of being able to really be able to offer these solutions that work for people and that they might not even know about. So that's really powerful.
Yeah.
And so, I want to talk about this idea of leverage that we were speaking about a little bit before. So, I mean, like, what does leverage mean to you, and how does it run through your business?
That's a great question. So, I'm gonna apologize in advance. Remember, I told you I'm an engineer, so I sometimes think in engineering terms. So leverage, it literally means being able to do the same or greater work with equal or lesser effort, right? So how do you accomplish that? You walk in any city, any metropolitan, urban, or suburban area, and you see leverage all around you. Every building, every business inside of a building, every piece of property is benefiting from leverage, right? Financing. And so the ability to get more work done with the same or lesser effort, and that's at the root of what we do, right? And we're able to leverage technology, as an example, in a virtual family office. We'll leverage partners and specialists to get the same type of work done for our clients that a traditional family office does, but at a much reduced cost, and we pass those savings on to our clients. But there's lots of forms of leverage. That real estate is fantastic. I think the world sort of revolves around leverage and being able to utilize financing to get a greater result. I'll give an example, Ben, in terms of a simple home purchase. Now, it could be owner occupied or non-owner occupied, right? But let's say you wanted to go buy a property, a home, right? And you had $50,000 saved in the bank. Are you going to go buy a $50,000 house?
Probably not.
Probably
I don't
not.
know. Do they exist anymore?
they might not, right? I don't know. In California, 50 grand might get you a mailbox.
Yeah,
right?
Maybe in Nebraska you can get
right. No, not a slam against Nebraska, just the price of the real estate. You might get a much bigger value for 50,000 there than in the Tyson's Corner area where we are. So but at the same token, so what do most people do? They say, okay, well, I really want a $700,000 home, right? So you find your favorite banker and you ask that banker to bring you the balance, $650,000, so you could get the house that you want. Now, if you're thinking in investment terms, maybe you're able to pick up the house for 200. You force the appreciation by making improvements, and then you sell it for more, et cetera. So the financing structure might be a little bit different. But regardless, if we're just talking about buying a house to live in, you go get a banker, brings you the balance, and now you can get a $700,000 home for the $50,000 investment that you make. That's leverage, right? Now you've got 5 bedrooms, 4 bath, 2-story foyer, white picket fence, the backyard, everything that you want, right? Now the here's where the benefit of the leverage you're really able to see. When the market goes up 10% on your $700,000 home, how much money did you make? 70 grand, right? Just the appreciation. Now, if you were in a $50,000 house, how much money would you have made on that with 10% appreciation? 5,000, right? So it's the same $50,000 though. But utilizing leverage, you got a $70,000 return versus a $5,000 return. Obviously, you want the $70,000 return for the same investment, right?
You almost doubled your money. You more than doubled your money versus adding only 10%.
That's right. That's what leverage does. The problem is that it doesn't always work in the positive sense, right? If you know any investors or property owners that lived through 2007 through 2009, they realize that sometimes that goes the other way. So if the market had dropped 10%, well, on the $700,000 home, you lost 70,000. On the $50,000 home, you lost 5,000.
Right.
With the same 50,000 invested. Which would you rather want? Right? You would rather take the $5,000 loss versus the $70,000 loss. So the question is, how do you know when to apply leverage? Like, what's really operating behind the scenes to help you figure out whether or not leverage is a good thing, right? And so it's something that we've thought about, and really what it comes down to is, does the underlying asset that's being levered, does that asset have the ability to retain value, right? So you with me? You're tracking with me?
Yeah, definitely.
So let's look at different asset classes, right? Stocks. Do stocks always retain value?
No, they fluctuate quite a bit.
That's right. There's lots of volatility. We've talked about real estate. In general, real estate goes up every year, but there's some, sometimes where it doesn't. So stocks is owning public companies. What about private ownership of businesses? Maybe you invest, or you partner with a PE firm. They've got a fund. They're buying companies. So that's private ownership. You're hoping and praying that the fund managers know what they're doing and help grow the business. But sometimes that works the other way, right? Same thing with, I'm not going to touch on crypto, but there's volatility, right? There's collectibles, there's art, there's cars, there's all these different asset classes where there's different attendant amounts of risk based on that unique asset class's ability to preserve its own value or increase in value over time. Right now, here's something interesting that we found out, and wherever we can, we like to have our clients leverage, utilize this other asset class because there's significant leverage, right? So if I were to ask you a question, Ben, I know you're doing most of the interviewing. I'm going to flip it around and ask you a question. So if I were to ask you, is there an asset class that is able to maintain or increase in value no matter what? Would you want to know about it?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's yes, definitely would want to know about it.
Okay. Awesome. It turns out there is. Now I'm going to tell you what it is, and it's for most people, especially when we're talking with our clients, it's like a disconnect in the brain. It's like file not found. Like, you couldn't have just told me what you just said. That's just not possible, right?
Yeah.
But it's primarily because of the way we've been educated to think about the specific asset class. It turns out cash value life insurance is contractually obligated to at least maintain its value, if not increase in value over time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're supposed to pay you a consistent dividend as long as you're continuing to pay in your principal, or I guess your payments, your monthly payments.
Yes. So look, from a banker's perspective, let's put our lending hat on for a second, right? From a banker's perspective, if you had the choice to put out $650,000 in the market in the form of a loan, Would you rather put that money with Joe and Mary Sue Smith and hope and pray that they're going to repay you principal and interest over time, even if they've got a great, they might have an 800 plus credit score, right? Or would you rather put that money with a $1 billion A-rated life insurance company that is required legally to have billions in surplus cash above and beyond its commitments and obligation? For a lender, it's a no-brainer, right? So I say all that to say this is that sometimes, wherever possible, we'll help our clients utilize various asset classes, utilize leverage, because you can get so much more work done, right? And get a better result, especially if you're able to bring third-party capital. The whole idea, it's a big deal in real estate, other people's money to the table to help you get an end result.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a really powerful way of thinking about it. And I mean, definitely kind of break some conventional ways of approaching, I guess, financial planning and also how investments work. It's like, it sounds too good to be true. Is it too good to be true? It's like, right. That's one thing to think about. But I mean, if we want to dig into this example a little bit more, talk about whole life insurance, like, yeah, why is it so good? And then also someone's gonna be like, okay, yeah, that sounds great. Or like, why is it not too good to be true also?
Yeah, at the end of the day, there are multiple types of life insurance that are out there. What we do is we customize the solutions that are, based on our clients' needs, right? We're not, what's one of your favorite expressions? We're not a hammer in search of a nail, right?
Awesome.
Sometimes life insurance makes sense. Whole life is a great form of life insurance. There are other types of life insurance out there, like index universal life, that you can get significant results with as well. So it just depends on the client situation, what we end up bringing to the table, along with a whole host of other strategies based on their need.
Yeah. And what we found too, right, kind of just a difference. Most people do know whole life, where again, that's great and a great asset class, but kind of understanding further how that cash is derived is from this $1 billion institution buying billions of dollars worth of bonds. Right. And then when they mature 30 years later, that's what pays the dividends that you referenced, which is great, kind of consistent and reliable there, versus kind of what we found with the index version, where you get the growth of the market. So when the market's doing well, you're growing your money with it. And what earns more, the market or bonds. But what's really unique about it is when the market drops, as we all know it inevitably does, you keep the money you've already earned. So a lot of our lenders are a lot more friendly, we found, towards kind of the IUL strategies because of that scenario, right? They've stress tested it through the Great Depression. Hey, would this last? Even with the market dropping all this amount, they tested it with interest rates being at 12, 20% from the 70s. And it always remains, kind of versus some of the whole life. So, again, that's kind of where we're here, just to kind of teach people. And to your point of, is it too good to be true? The point where it's too good is that, it's not for everyone. Not everyone could qualify for some of these plans, right? Because there's some considerations that go into this, both financially and health, right? So, on both ends, it's not a fit for everyone.
And I was going to give you another quick example of leverage, but go ahead if you had another question.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's not always a good fit because you do have to always make sure you're making these payments, because if you don't, then you lose the whole policy, right? So it only works for people that will have the liquidity to be able to maintain the contribution that they say that they're going to maintain. So it's, if you don't think you have a consistent source of cash flow, it might be too risky to take on one of these vehicles. But what I really love about insurance is that it's the ultimate alignment of interests, right? As long as, if I'm the insurance company, as long as I believe that you also want to continue your life as long as possible, I know that our interests are aligned.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah, I'm most successful the longer you live, and you're most successful the longer you live. Now we have, as long as we agree on that, there's a lot of things we can do.
Yeah,
exactly. And to that point, right, where you said on the financial side, if there's a 50-year-old executive multimillionaire, but he's 350 pounds, type 2 diabetic, had a heart attack last year, as much as he's won, as much as assets he has, he won't be able to qualify, right? Because there's that health aspect when you come into this, to your point. So there is that mutual interest and benefit. The insurance company's not going to take that risk. They're not going to risk paying that out because of that health situation. So yeah,
charge you a lot more.
Right. Exactly.
Hey, look, I'll throw in one other example of leverage, especially in the real estate context. So I'm sure, at some point your other listeners and viewers may want to build a decent sized commercial portfolio, and you have to stand up a property management company to stay on top of everything. So, at one of the challenges associated with operating a business like that is risk, right? Some, crazy stuff happens in the marketplace. You've got events overseas, what have you. So how do you manage risk? Well, it turns out a lot of times on commercial insurance policies, the list of exclusions is a lot longer than the list of things that are actually covered, right? I don't know if you've ever seen that. So, but what happens if you've got risks specific to your industry that your typical insurance policy is unable to cover? So one of the things that you can do is stand up your own insurance company, right? What does that mean? Well, you can customize your insurance company to write policies that are specific to your own risk environment. Hey, if this is an extreme, right? But to say, if you wanted to say, hey, if an orange car with green polka dots drives through the front door of one of my buildings, I want to make sure that we're covered for it. Right. And and you can do that. Now, the cool thing is that the premiums done the right way, the premiums that are paid to your own insurance company are tax deductible, right? And the assets, the cash sitting inside your own insurance company can be invested elsewhere and create additional growth. So now not only do you have a portfolio of properties that are increasing in value over time. One of the challenges sometimes with real estate is that you've got the equity; it's sometimes illiquid. So you have the ability now to create some risk management using your own insurance company, and then possibly, if done the right way, another revenue stream for you overall. So, and that's another example of leverage. There's tons of other examples, but the point is, at the end of the day, how can you get more done with the same or lesser effort?
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. And the way I like to think about leverage in this context is, what can I accomplish with a team? Like what can I don't have enough money, or I don't have the resources or the skills to do it just by myself, but you could bring in all these other people who have more capacities and allow you to do things you could never have done by yourself. And that's the power of this, interconnected world we live in, where we can utilize each other's skills to elevate everyone together. And I really love that idea of leverage.
Love it.
Great. Well, on that note, are you ready for the lightning round?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Shoot.
Let's
go
do
for
it. All right. So what superpower would you want if you could choose any superpower?
So I've got 3 kids, and we have these discussions. So I was ready for this one, I think. I think I would like the ability super speed. That's
mine too. I love it.
I feel my gut instinct, as you said it, to the lightning aspect would be to fly. I just think that'd be awesome to fly around. Traffic is a thing in the past. Flying.
Right. That's a good one too. I think you probably could do it pretty quickly too.
Yeah. There you go.
Cool. All right. So what are you guys' favorite books, or what's the ones that have helped you the most in life or in your career, or in any part?
You want to take this one first? I've got 2.
One, it's by Tim Grover. It's Good to Great to Relentless. Or it's just called Relentless, but it's a great book about he's if you don't know Tim Grover, he's the coach who coached Michael Jordan, Dwayne Wade, just these top tier athletes. And he kind of taught the whole book where he's talking about, hey, these guys at this stage, right? They don't need a coach how to lift weights, right? They don't need a coach how to do this. It's the mindset. and how deep he goes into the mindset of being someone at that high elite level. It's powerful, and there's a lot of great tidbits on mentality and kind of social behaviors with who people are. But yeah, Good to Great to Relentless with Tim Grover.
Awesome. I got three, actually. I added a third as Jim was talking. The first that sort of set me on the path for building my own financial education was Rich Dad Poor Dad. Fantastic book. I'm sure it's common for a lot of your listeners.
It's the most common shout out on the whole podcast. Like, if we didn't mention it, the podcast wouldn't be complete. So
right, yeah.
Use code Ben Malik when checking out Rich Dad Poor Dad for 10% off.
The second is a book called The Go-Giver. So there's the idea of being a go-getter, but it's The Go-Giver. It's by John David Mann and Richard Berg. Fantastic book. And I've even been in situations where I've given it out to someone, told them to sign it, and it's been circulated back. I mean, it's a fantastic book. And then the third book is called The Power of Tact. I'm blanking on the author, but a great book, especially anyone that's in business, has to negotiate. It's a fantastic book.
Awesome. Well, I love it. I'm starting to develop the book list of all the people who've recommended on the podcast. So soon it's going to be on my website where you can find all of the books.
That's awesome.
So
Love
I'm
it.
excited for that. What motivates you guys to continue every day?
Easy for me. It's my wife and kids, right? Like my wife is incredible. She is like an angel walking among us. She's just an amazing human being, beautiful. And then my kids, right? I've got a 13-year-old, 11-year-old, 7-year-old boys, and our house is energetic all the time. It's full on wide open, and it's impossible to not get up and do what you need to do when you look at those guys. I mean, it's the world is their oyster, given that I do what I'm supposed to do, right? So
Awesome.
Yeah. Hard to follow up with that one. But right, so it's for me and my world. I don't have a family yet, but it's my girlfriend, and same kind of motive personally, where looking to build a family, right? And this is kind of the reason why. But expanding beyond that too.
You've got cats.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Cats, right.
And we want a dog, so
right.
That's
there
the
you
list,
go.
right?
Uh-huh.
But really kind of to the point too of knowing the education gap that's out there, right? And how many people simply just don't know what they don't know. And I truly do see that as my job, my responsibility to bring that out there and to have the courage to go out and share that fearlessly for everyone, just to get it out there. Because there's, again, I feel it's like a responsibility. It's, I don't want to say a burden, but it's something by choosing this path that I'm passionate about doing.
Yeah. Well, I really love that. And part of the reason I started this podcast is like, it took me a couple of years of listening to the podcast to learn about the deferred sales trust and cost segregation and all these amazing things that help so many people, and you're just no brainers. Like you should do these. And like,
Right.
It took me a long time to find out. And it's like, you guys offered all these services in one place and just were able to mix and match them to like create a solution that was perfect for someone's situation. And it's like, yeah, like I totally agree with that. Like trying to figure out what you don't know or helping people understand what they don't know. Like they would never have even figured out the solution if not for, someone telling them. And so it's great that we do this. Awesome. Yep. So what advice would you give to someone who wants to follow in your footsteps?
Show up every day. Show up every day, right? There's no one is so the journey of being an entrepreneur and a business owner, there's no guarantee. No one has ever promised that it's going to be easy or that every single day would be fun, right? But show up every day and do what you need to do.
Yeah. Well, I'll have my own, but to piggyback on that, I feel you'll appreciate this, Ben. I remember when I was going into college, my dad's like one advice was just show up. Right. Because, he's like, hey, you'll get in where maybe you'll miss one class and it quickly becomes a habit. Right. Oh, I missed the last one, but I showed up to the other one. I can miss this next one. And I found myself doing that very quickly, validating that. So, a lot of that of just showing up every day, no matter if you had a terrible day yesterday, whether it was the best day you had yesterday, putting on your pants and going. But, what I would say different from what Kwesi said is, just make that leap, right? Do it. Because I think a lot of people end up having paralysis through analysis, where they're just analyzing 20 different things of what could go wrong in a sector of business, or in 20 different things that could go right. And then they looked at one of those things that could go bad and find 20 miniature things on, and you just end up analyzing so many different aspects of anything, where you end up doing nothing. And, again, time's kind of your most valuable asset you have. You can't get it back. Just take that leap and do something, learn along the way, stumble, get that experience, but keep on showing up and make that leap.
But with super speed, you can go back in time, so you might be able to get some of that time back.
Yeah. Well, I like the idea of showing up, because it's like it fits in with the idea of you don't know what you don't know. But in terms of going to class, like you show up, you might have like got an idea that wouldn't have ever happened unless you put yourself out there to experience these new things. And like I could sit in this room all day, but like just going outside and like seeing a tree, and it's like, oh, reminds me that there's more into the world than this little box. It's like, that's like another way of showing up, just like, getting out there. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, since I put you guys on the spot, I want to give you a chance for revenge. So feel free to ask me anything you want to know about me.
What's your favorite color?
Ooh, it's an interesting question. I've had opinions in the past, and like then I've had opinions that I have no opinion, and like it's hard to say. For most of my life, it was pink, and I think I wanted to just be like different and like kind of like have something unconventional, or something like someone should ask a question. It's like, oh, like why is it like pink? It's like, and also, I mean, I like the idea of it going with breast cancer, which is research is the cause that I care about a lot. But maybe I just like wanted people to ask me questions. But now I like blue. Like there's something like I like when I look at a certain shade of blue, I like fall into it and like feel it. And it's like it's like I can't even describe the shade of blue. It's like middle lightness. It's like really rich, like bright blue, but not like too pale. There's just this one color of blue I really like. I'll see if I can find it and maybe I'll like put in the show note or something.
Yeah, definitely.
Just keeping with the theme of being unconventional. I mean, I can't say that I've met a lot of kids that were guys who are in college that had their own show and are investing in real estate. So what made you even choose that path, then?
Well, I mean, what to hammer it down to one specific instance or one specific thing is like, I mean, this is an impossible task, right? Just all of the causes and all of the things that's come before in the entire universe led me to this one place. But I mean, the way I try to like nail it down, it's just like my skills and my purpose and like my desire to add value to the world to the best of my ability. I just think real estate is such a powerful way to do that, for how so many people accomplish their goals and the things that they think they want in life. And like I see real estate being the way to do that for so many people. And then just the ability to care about like the small thing. It's like if I want to develop a multifamily property, like I want to develop a place where people are happy to be, where people wake up every morning. It's like I got like I want to be here. It's not like I'm just in some bricks that have a roof over my head and I can sleep at night. It's like, no, like there's something much deeper where it's like the place that you're in can inspire you. And I want to, use the many sides of real estate to be able to add value to the world. And I mean, I just love it. I'm passionate about it. And I think that's what's going to keep me going, even when it gets hard, just my passion and my eagerness to learn more about it and to use it to improve the world and hopefully reduce suffering along the way.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah. One last off the wall one. Favorite dinner meal and favorite dessert with it.
Okay, cool. Oh, this is tough. Actually, it's really tough.
See, my questions were tough. He knew his why right away. Come on now.
That's really funny, actually. I don't know. Is this even like PC anymore? If I say like I just love like a nice steak, like can you even say that anymore?
You can say that.
Yeah,
this is what you like.
Right.
I mean, it's just like I don't know. A good steak. It's just really good. It's rewarding to just like
love it.
I don't know. Have a steak once in a while, and so the fact that it's like not an everyday thing is like that's the beauty.
What makes it good? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So awesome.
Got it. Cool.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm sure that everyone's learned a lot and have a whole new philosophy and a way to apply, I guess leverage to the world. And like, I mean, this idea transcends across all parts of life, and from just the things you're trying to accomplish on day to day to business to just like our purpose here. So I really love that idea, and I hope it sticks with everyone for a while. Do you guys have any final remarks to leave the audience with?
I do. Speaking to the entrepreneur out there, because that's the foundation of our business, is really business owners and entrepreneurs. The challenge with being an entrepreneur is that you have something that you're passionate about that you want to give away to the world, right? The thing is, though, there's all kinds of other stuff that comes along with being able to deliver that to the marketplace. So sometimes there are going to be tough days, right? There are going to be hard times. My challenge to you, if you're listening to this podcast or video, whatever, is to take the next step every day, one foot in front of the other, and just keep going. If you feel like you get to the end of your rope, tie a knot and hang on until you can take the next step, right? So that's the one thing I want to leave with everyone, is keep going. Yeah.
I love that. I almost want to leave it there, not even bring mine up now, but no, I think, just kind of to that theme, never lose your intellectual curiosity, and never be in a position where you think you know everything. Stay learning, stay hungry for more knowledge. And Ben, I think you do a great job of embodying that. And that's going to lead you down a great path.
Well, I really appreciate it. And I'm going to keep those messages with me for my whole life, I hope. And I really appreciate it. So cool. Thank you guys for coming on. How can people find out more about you and learn more about what you guys do?
Probably the easiest way is online at our website, Kingstowne with an E. So kingstowneadvisors.com. KINGSTOWNE advisors plural.com. And then our LinkedIn profiles. I'm on LinkedIn. You can look me up, send me a direct message, connect requests, whatever you need. Jim as well. Probably the easiest ways to connect with us. And we're starting to put some stuff up on TikTok too. So
yeah.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna check that out, and the links to all those resources will be below in the show notes. So definitely check it out. And thank you guys for coming on, and keep making milestones.
All right. Appreciate it, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
See ya.
Take care.